We spoke about the importance of not getting into a losing run in the IPL. The Chennai Super Kings before tonight's game had lost two games in a row, and it was very important for them to break out of that rut and put a W against their name. Well, playing at home, they did just that, and they did it in grand fashion against KKR, who were coming off a string of good wins. Sarvesh, it was. I mean, if you look at a cricket match and you think it's one-sided, it's pretty boring watching. But still, there were lots of skills on display, and all in all, a good. Sometimes after having 270, 240 games, it's good to have 135 games sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, we had one team scoring 277 today. I think both teams could manage only about just about that, somewhere around 280 in 40 overs. So it was that kind of a game. And the pitch we were talking about, the typical Chennai pitch, I think these were the first glimpses of that pitch. We saw the other day the pitch at Hyderabad. The strip was changed, and then the scores were changed as well. So the behavior was completely different. I think again today strip was changed. I think, and behavior was completely different.
Absolutely. Now, talking about that pitch, we are going to do a little bit of different here as well because it was a different pitch. We are going to change our pitch on Sneakometer tonight. And what we are going to do is we're going to run this session as a question and answer session. I'm going to pose a lot of questions of you, Sarvesh. So get ready. It's not quite a rapid fire round, but nevertheless, I'm still going to ask you a few important questions. Let's start with the pitch itself. First question, did the pitch change after KKR's power play? Because during KKR's power play, it looked like a beautiful batting wicket. Sunil Narayan and Ankrich Raghuvanshi both going absolutely great guns. But then suddenly it looked like somebody came in, ripped that pitch off, put a different pitch in, and CSK just immediately came back into the game. Your thoughts?
I think it was a combination. I would say smart bowling from Jadeja. If you go back and look at that footage again, you will realize that he was bowling away from Sunil Narayan. He kept it like he bowled up almost a half tracker against Venkatesh Iyer. Those wickets were like as if he was asking the batters to fetch those deliveries, and he was asking them to hit it against the spin or with the spin, but towards the longer side of the side of the ground. So I think it was some smart bowling, and the pitch. I don't. The thing is that on these kind of wickets after the power play, once the ball is slightly oldish, you get to see some sort of a grip, because with the new ball, the ball comes on very nicely. But when the ball gets 6 or 7 overs old, you sometimes see this behavior. And what happens is when once the power play is over, and if you lose a couple of wickets quickly, then once suddenly you have two new batters on the crease, and now suddenly they realize that it's the oldish ball, and it is not easy for the new batters to come in and score as quickly as your openers did. So sometimes you are just stuck in your mind, because you just saw your openers scoring at 7, 8, 9 per runs per over, and now suddenly you are in and you are just struggling to time the ball. So I think it impacts those batters mentally as well. So I think I would say the timing of those 2 3 wickets which Jadeja took in his first over, I think that was very critical, and that's where that for slide started for KKR.
You spoke about the fact that about Sunil Narayan, being they bowled smartly to him. We've seen Sunil Narayan come off an absolute bizarre run of scores in the last couple of games. Man in form goes hard at the bowlers during the power play, but have CSK just shown the rest of the teams the perfect template to bowl to Sunil Narayan because he played 20 deliveries today, scored only 27. Is this the way? They still were not 100% perfect with the lines and lengths they bowled to him, but they were almost there. And is this the way to bowl to Sunil Narayan?
I think almost all the teams have they had sort of figured out where to bowl to Sunil Narayan. Don't give him room, cramp him, bowl those in swinging deliveries where if he looks to free the arms, and he will eventually get bowled out or get caught on his crease LBW. I think these things were already known, but I think what CSK did today, they just played it very smartly. They knew what the surface is, and they did not have Deepak Chahar, who likes to swing in, and that swing could actually trouble somebody like Sunil Narayan, who looks to free the arms. That in swinger could have troubled him a lot. They did not have his services today, but I think somewhere I think you knew that if you don't give him enough room, or if you don't give him those opportunities to score earlier, because I was looking at his score, he was one from 5 or 6 deliveries. That start was not given to Sunil Narayan. And we have seen this before as well, that whenever he struggles to get that start, 8 runs from three deliveries. So that's where he starts to get itchy, and he looks for that boundary. I think that was the kind of phase Sunil Narayan was in today. And once that I felt just once that power play was over, he was just reaching to go after the left arm spinner, because of the matchups and that mental advantage that we talk about. So I think CSK have bowled very smartly, and I think pitch also played a very critical role to today.
In KKR's previous matches, we've seen them just go hard, uh, right from ball one till the last ball of the 20th over. Today they had a good power play, and when the wicket of Raghuvanshi fell, they got the new man coming in, um, but they was it the fact that they didn't try to keep going hard, or was it the fact that the wicket and the bowling was just so good that it didn't allow them to do that? Because if you look at their batting lineup, you've got Andre Russell, you've got Rinku Singh, you've got Shreyas Iyer, all power hitters who can really go after the bowling, including Ramandeep. Who we've seen do it in the past as well. So if you had to pinpoint and put your finger on one thing as to why that innings got stuck in a rut in the middle, what would that be?
I think false shots. If you look at the shot that Raghuvanshi played, he tried to sort of switch it against Jadeja. If you look at Sunil Narayan's wicket, he was trying to fetch that delivery, which was bowled way outside off. There was plenty of room given, but it was bowled way outside off, and he had to hit it against the spin towards the offside. He got dismissed, and Venkatesh Iyer, he before that over. I think it was Tikshana. He bowled 4 or 5 dot balls to Venkatesh Iyer. So even he was feeling itchy. So Jadeja knew that he was going to go after him in the next over. So he just smartly bowled that ball way outside off. He asked him to fetch that delivery. It spun into him, but he asked him to hit it on the longer side, and he knew that there is not enough space in the pitch. So I think it was very very smart from Jadeja, because he could feel what is going on in batters' mind, because batters were trying to score freely, and he was just asking them to do it, because he knew that the pitch is slow, and if they are going to go after him, then he knew that he's going to get wickets. I think he was very smart, and it was, I would say, false shots from the batters and very smart bowling from Jadeja. Because if you there were no LBWs like those typical Jadeja LBWs, which sort of those deliveries hold the line, or defeating the outside edge. It was not that kind of a stuff. It was just smart bowling.
I mean, anybody who's watched Ravindra Jadeja's career over the years knows how good he is. As soon as the wicket starts
Yeah.
giving him a little bit of assistance, he is in his element, he is in the zone, and he will be at you every single ball. So it didn't surprise me to see him there. Um, just looking a bit long term, the World Cup in the West Indies, slow, low pitches, do assist the spinners a bit. Um, we speak about Ravindra Jadeja's white ball batting, which is not going great guns at
Yeah.
the moment. He has days when he absolutely smacks it around, and then he has some days when he cannot hit the ball off the square, like we saw in that run chase. But uh, the good thing with him is that he always finds ways of contributing. Like today, the first ball, that catch that he took of Phil
Yeah.
Salt, phenomenal. I mean, he's got a great pair of hands. He'll always save you runs in the outfield. Um, Give him a little bit of assistance, he'll come up with figures like 4 overs, 3 for 18,
Yeah.
and he's handy with the bat. So utility cricketer. Is he a certainty for that T20 World Cup?
I think just the thing is that sometimes we see that in this I will give you an example in this team. Ramandeep Singh, he's playing as a pure batter, and they are not really looking towards him to bowl those 2-3 overs. And a couple of seasons ago, we saw Mumbai Indians were using his bowling as well. They were asking him to bowl those difficult overs at the back end. He did a fair job there. But they are what KKR doing. KKR is doing right now is they are just asking him that, okay, we feel that your batting is your primary skill, and we don't need to use your bowling as much. And same thing is applied for Shivam Dubey with CSK, and sort of Shiva with Vijay Shankar with Gujarat Titans. These teams are just asking these guys to bat their primary skill, which is probably batting. So I think when we talk about Jadeja, I think Jadeja in that T20 setup in that World Cup, we'll have to put this thing into perspective that Jadeja's bowling will be more critical on those pitches than his batting. So even if he doesn't get those runs at the back end, we should probably align our expectations that okay, he's not going to give you those 10 ball 25 30 runs. So just let's be happy with the bowling contributions that he would be doing, and just let's allow him to play whatever, allow him to contribute whatever he could with the bat. So I think that's the kind of role we should give him in T20 World Cup. And I think you rightly pointed out, he, in my opinion, on those pitches, Jadeja, just Jadeja, the pure bowler, is a certainty.
As far as slow left arm spinners are concerned, he's probably in a direct shootout with another name called Akshar Patel. But just if you were to judge them on their bowling, is Jadeja a better left arm
Yeah.
spinner than Akshar Patel at this point of time?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jadeja, the bowler, is doing much better than Akshar, and Akshar, the batter, we have seen this in the recent past, is doing much better than Jadeja, the batter.
And we're talking about white ball cricket here, so don't come charging at
Yeah,
us, showing us
yeah.
Jadeja's test batting records and stuff like that. All
Jadeja,
right.
Jadeja in red ball cricket is not a topic of discussion because he is in his own league and nobody comes closer to Jadeja. Let me put this on record.
Okay, not much to talk about those batting numbers. So let's have a quick look at that scorecard. I mean, we've already discussed how they couldn't, they lost Phil Salt, but they recovered after that, had a great power play. The ball got older, the pitch started gripping, Jadeja came in, and that's the reason you can see that middle order in mostly all of them in single digits except for Ramandeep Singh.
Yeah.
It's not very often that you see Rinku Singh scoring 9 from 14 deliveries, and it's even rare to see Andre Russell scoring 10 from 10 deliveries. That just
Yeah.
shows the struggle that the KKR batters had, not just with the pitch, but with the clever bowling that CSK dished out for them.
Yes, and I think I wanted to ask you this question that, let's stick with our format. Let me ask you one question. What do you think about Field Salt and what do you think, should KKR look to do with him? Because they have got Sunil Narayan at the top who is looking to score quick runs, and they have two options for that wicketkeeper spot, Phil Salt. I'm talking about overseas players, Phil Salt and Rahmanullah Gurbaz.
Gurbaz.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they have the Indian batter in KS Bharat. So I think they would like to stick with Phil Salt, or they would then go to Rahmanullah Gurbaz. Now Phil Salt hasn't been getting enough runs in past few matches, and Sunil Narayan is somebody who is giving them those those quick starts. So now if somebody like Sunil Narayan is doing that job for you, then would they be? Do you think would they be tempted to go with Rahmanullah Gurbaz, who is not the quickest of the starters at the at the beginning? He would take one or two three overs to just get going, and once he's set, he's a very good player, and also he plays spin well as well. So what do you think about that?
Look, Ramanullah Gurbaz is a great cricketer. I've got a lot of time for him. I think nobody hits sixes down the ground with as much grace as Ramanullah Gurbaz does, because he's got a lovely flow of the bat and he can hit in that V very well. But I think it might just be a tad bit too early to kind of change Phil Salt. Look, they've been winning. And when you're winning, it gives you a lot of cushion,
Yeah,
not just to the team, but to a lot of individual players. He had a couple of good innings.
yeah,
His first innings, I remember, was pretty good, and he had a very good innings in that run chase
yeah,
as well. So he's got a couple of good innings, 2 out of 5 good innings, which means, uh, look, it's a high risk game that he plays. So I think KKR know that even if you can come off in say 50% of the games that he's playing, not win them games, but come off.
yeah,
Um, I think that's a good return for them, and I think they will spend a little bit more time with him before switching on to Ramanullah Gurbaz. Just knowing the kind of mindset that Gautam Gambhir has, also he loves to give people chances and make sure that they've completely seen someone before they kind of make
yeah,
changes, which you can see in their team. They haven't had many changes, just a little here, little
Yeah,
there. No major changes because they're winning, of course. That
yeah,
helps.
yeah. I mean, you talked about changes. Then now my second question is, let's say Nitish Rana he becomes fit for the next game. So what do they do? Should they get Nitish Rana in for Venkatesh Iyer, or they just do a straight swap between Ankush Raghuvanshi and Nitish Rana, because he's doing well at the top, and Venkatesh Iyer has scored at 50. I know, but is somebody who can get stuck in that middle order at that point. If his entry points are not correct, then he's somebody who can get stuck and not score quickly. But Nitish Rana, as we know, he can do that. He can bat fluently at any stage of the game. So what do you think? Should he replace Ankarish or Venkatesh Iyer?
Look, he's a left-hander, so if you are going to swap left-handers like for like, then yeah, Venkatesh Iyer comes into the picture. But I also feel that Ankush Raghuvanshi and Ramandeep Singh will probably be the ones, either one of them, to miss out. I know Ramandeep Singh's given us a couple of glimpses of what he can do.
Yeah,
I don't think he's given us enough though to maintain his position in that side. And I know it's tough, only 11 can play, and you can't play everyone.
yeah,
So I think in this case, unfortunately, it'll be Ramandeep Singh that misses out, and
yeah.
Nitish Rana comes in.
I think it's a fair point, because Ramandeep Singh is playing as a pure batter, so his bowling is not really
Yes.
a topic here. So I think, yeah, Ramandeep and Nitish Rana, yeah, you rightly pointed out, it could be a good swap option for them. Yeah,
Cool. Let's have a look at CSK's bowling. We've already discussed it. We've discussed Ravindra Jadeja, so we won't go there. But there's one other person that I would do want to. The Fizz coming back, of course, and a typical wicket for him. All his cutters, all his slow balls, everything worked on that wicket. So a brilliant, brilliant selection in that regard to bring him back. 2 for 22 of his four. But I want to talk about Tushar Deshpande
yeah,
because I think he bowled really well because he bowled up the top in that power play. He was instrumental in bowling the right line and length to Sunil Narayan, making sure he doesn't get off to a flyer. And then coming towards the end also, I saw him bowling quite well at
yeah.
the death. Um, 3 for 33, 4 overs, bowling in the power play, bowling at the death. CSK are on to something, aren't they, with Tushar Deshpande?
I mean, when in that first game, when Shardul Thakur was not picked, people were saying that the fans mainly they were saying that why Shardul is not playing and why Tushar Deshpande is preferred over him. And now, if you look at his figures after four games, then you will realize, I think he has played all the 5 matches, and you will realize that he has done really well. Till last season, his economy was on higher side, but if you look at his numbers for this season, his economy is looking good. He's getting the same number of wickets for them. So I think he's an improved bowler, and I think that tells you why they started this season with him. Because with CSK, you know that they are not going to make such blunders. When they back somebody, there is a proper reason behind that. So I think Tushar Deshpande, now it looks like that he's going to play all the games, and Shardul Thakur and Deepak Chahar, those two primary bowlers for them at one point. We saw them bowling together for in lot of CSK matches before. I think those two are going to fight for that one spot. So that is the kind of impact Tushar Deshpande is having on this season, and nobody expected this to happen.
Yeah. The Lord, of course, coming back today, none for 27 from his 3 overs. Um, but then there's also the fact that he's coming back
Yeah,
from a bit of a break, so he's
yeah,
going to take his time to
yeah.
kind of get going. Um, one quick question would be with Deepak Chahar missing out, I think the like for like replacement for Deepak Chahar at this stage is actually Shardul Thakur because both of them
Yeah.
swing the ball, both of them can be handy with
Bat,
the
yeah,
bat lower down the order. So I think CSK might be looking at playing one or the other,
yeah.
not both of them together in the same side. Do you agree with that?
Yes, because if they have to pick both Shardul and Deepak Chair, then they will have to drop Tushar Deshpande, and that is not happening because he is undroppable right now. So I think they will have to keep doing that juggling act between Shardul and Deepak Chair.
Perfect. So 137 for 9 is what KKR put up. Let's have a quick look at what CSK replied with. Obviously winning the match, but let's just analyze how it all happened for them.
So,
There we have it, up
so
the
I
top.
think,
So we
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
We've got Rachin Ravindra and Ruturaj Gaikwad starting that innings off. After a couple of failures, Rachin looked like he was back in the zone today. Played a couple of lovely shots, and then my next question to you is: Is Rachin Ravindra a far better batter than the cameos that he's been showing us? Is he a 20 ball 40 kind of player, or is he actually got it in him to score a 50 ball 100?
I think with CSK, you know that they are going to play around with these batters, and they know how to use these guys. So I think in a sub 140 or some sub 150 chase, I knew that they are going to stick with Ruturaj Gaikwad. I knew that they are going to ask him to anchor from one end, and probably had he been dismissed in that first or second over, then they would have probably pushed Ajinkya Rahane in at number three, and then Rahane would have then played that anchor kind of a role. But that's the kind of thing that they like to do. They would probably they'd like to ask these two guys to bat through in such low scoring chases, and then they ask the other batters to take that extra risk. Because as we saw in the first innings, I think ball was coming nicely during the power play. So I think that was the role given to Rachin, that okay, you are going to go out there and you are just going to look for some quick boundaries, quick sixes, fours. So I think that was the role given to Rachin. But you rightly said that he's much better batter than those 8 ball 20 or 15 or 20 ball 45 runs. I mean, he's a much better batter than this. But I think they are probably giving him that role, that he's supposed to be the aggressor inside that power play, because we know Ruturaj is he takes some time at the start and then he gets going, and he makes up for that. So it's that kind of a situation with them, that they have to ask Rachin Ravindra to score quick runs. I mean, there is no other option. Otherwise, they would probably get stuck in one of those games where they would score 10 or 20 runs below par. So and they don't want this to happen. So I think this it's just the rule that we cannot we should not really judge Rachin based on these numbers. Even he's far better batter than this.
One of the things I've noticed about Rachin is the fact that he seems to forget about fielders when they
Yeah,
get put out on the boundary. The reason I say this is I was following the Black Caps during that ODI World Cup, and there were a couple of instances there as well when there were field placements that were made or changed, and Rachin hit it down straight down someone's throat, and then threw his head back in the air, thinking, "Jeez, I didn't
yeah,
see that." It almost feels like that. I think that game awareness, that match awareness, will come with experience.
yeah,
When he's in the flow, I think he tries to hit every ball though sometimes, and that shot selection is not the best
yeah,
or not as refined as it should be. But I guess that is what the word experience teaches you, is
yeah,
that it teaches you when to play the right shot for the right delivery that you have in your head.
yeah.
My next question to you, though, is there a better timer of the cricket ball than Ruturaj Gaikwad in world cricket?
So if he gets going, if he's batting on 40, if he has already batted for 40 deliveries and he's now looking to accelerate, then we have seen him taking Jasprit Bumrah on a couple of seasons ago. He was Jasprit Bumrah at the death is not that easy to he was just just playing those pickup shots on leg side, and once he is in, I think he can time it really well. So that's Ruturaj. I mean, there's no I have seen him hitting 200s in Vijay Hazare Trophy, and he was just timing it so beautifully that it felt as at one point that he should actually go on and score a triple hundred in a 50 over game. So that's the kind of impact Ruturaj normally has when he gets going. So I think you put it perfectly that when he's a very good timer of the ball, and in my opinion, once he's in, then it's just the shots that he plays, and it's just a treat for the eyes.
Yeah, I said that because I think it was a couple of games back when he just actually defended with soft hands a delivery, which probably hit the absolute sweetest part of the bat. And because the square was quite bouncy, it bounced and it went over the
Yeah,
head of point, and it
yeah,
went for a four. And you
four.
were just sitting there thinking, how has that gone for a four?
Yeah,
So he's got the gift of timing, and I don't think there's anyone who can time it better than him.
yeah,
And you rightly say that when he's set, He can play those big shots as well, a bit like Rohit Sharma, because in the death, when Rohit is set,
Yeah,
there's no place that you can bowl him. He'll deposit everything, and Ruturaj is a bit like that as well.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Agree.
Last kind of question about the batting performance: is there a better smacker of spinners in world cricket today than Shivam Dube?
I think probably not. Just going by the sample size that we have today, uh, Rinku Singh probably could come closer, but he is somebody who is equally effective against the seamers and against the fast bowlers, and he doesn't have those kind of crazy numbers which Shivam Dube has against the spinners. So Rinku Singh I would put him slightly ahead. When it comes to pure smacking of the cricket ball right now, down at number 5 or 6. But when it comes to spinners, you said it correctly that I think Shivam Dube right now is far ahead than the others. But I think even he somewhere down the line, even he knows that he probably have to increase his tempo a bit against the seamers. But I can see that he's hitting. Today he was hitting. He was timing it beautifully against Mitchell Stark as well. So I think he's reaching that stage where we could see him hitting the seamers as well. But first against spinners, I think he's right now. There's no better hitter of the ball than Shivam Dube.
I also like the fact that he's thinking about his game now, because there was a over there by Vaibhav Arora in which
Yeah,
he bowled a couple of bouncers, and as soon as those two bouncers were out of the way, Shivam knew that the next one's going to be either on length or in his half of the pitch, and he was waiting there
yeah,
deep in his crease, and as soon as that ball was pitched up, he had a go at it and deposited it over mid wicket.
yeah,
So just shows that he's also thinking about what he's doing, which is good.
yeah.
One last thing, comment on that CSK innings. The one thing that CSK do beautifully well is they understand emotions, and not just emotions of their cricketers, but they understand the emotions of their fans. Now, with three required to win, they could have easily sent Ajinkya Rahane or Ravindra Jadeja or anybody, or Shardul Thakur for that matter, to finish the game off.
Yeah.
But outworks Mahendra Singh Dhoni to finish off the game. The crowd goes berserk, and yeah, just one of those feel-good moments on a cricket field, that the franchise is actually understanding the emotion of their fan base and catering to it and giving them what they need.
Yes, I think it also comes down to just the game awareness because you want MS Dhoni to bat those certain number of deliveries before you get to the business end. I keep talking about with the business end, but when you are 7 or 8 games, 8 games, when you have those many games under your belt, you want all your batters to be in that peak batting form. And I think MS has we have seen him hit it in that one of the previous games. But I think and we also talked about this before that if wicket falls after 15th over, then probably MS should come up and look to, because he's going to look for all the sixes and fours. So even if he gets out, it's not a problem. So I think that emotional angle is obviously there. But I think just from the cricketing tactical point of view, I think even after that, even if you think from that perspective, it's a good decision.
Perfect. The only icing on the cake would have been if MS had to finish it off with a
Yeah,
six.
yeah,
Then the legend of MS Dhoni would have just gone through the roof, and Chepauk would have erupted.
yeah.
But anyway, we'll save that for another day. What has this result mean to the bowling of KKR? Or should we
Yeah.
go to the league table? No, we'll have a look at the bowling first. Um, when you're defending only 137, you have to pick up wickets,
Wickets.
and
Yeah.
by wickets I mean at least 2 or 3 wickets in that power play, keep the runs down. But when that didn't happen, this was always going to be a stroll in the park for those
Yeah.
CSK batters.
In those first few overs, I think they had to look for wickets because one sub 140 some with 150 game. If you're allowing your opponents to bat for, let's not even the entire batting lineup. If you're allowing the top 6 of your opponents to bat for 20 overs, the game is gone. I mean, you cannot win that game. So only possible way for you is by picking up wickets. And if you're not going to do that, then very early in the game you'll have to think about net run rate. I think they went to that stage pretty early. I mean, they didn't have any option because we know Ruturaj is going to manage such chases very well, and I think he was in that kind of a mood. And once that power play was over, it was always about, because they needed 2-3 wickets there. They needed a lot better performance from Mitchell Stark, who was disappointing again. I mean, I felt that Vaibhav Aurora, despite that lack of experience, I think he bowled better than Mitchell Stark in that. I mean, he does not have the same pace of as Mitchell Stark, not same bounce, not same height, not the same Yorker, no, probably no same amount of swing, but with all those limitations, I felt even Vaibhav Aurora, did exceptionally well inside that power play. So I think, they expected a bit more from Stark and they wanted a bit more from him today. Did not happen. And once that power play was gone, it was just about preventing that, preserving that net run rate for them. I think that's the story for them today.
Yeah, it's been a funny tournament for Stark because the one game that he bowled well was when they had a massive score to defend.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time, he's actually gone for a lot of runs. So, yeah, his form will be of concern. He is a champion bowler, probably not his best suit, um, T20 cricket, but
Yeah.
yeah, if anybody can come back from the start,
Yeah.
it is Mitchell Stark. So, we'll watch that space with interest. What does this mean to the league table? Where do CSK? So they are in fourth place now.
Both teams
Five
are,
games, three wins.
yeah, both teams are, just at number 2 and number 4. They do not move. They are just there.
Right. Absolutely. So Kolkata with the game in hand, of course. So if they win their next one, they'll obviously be well ahead of
Yeah.
Chennai.
Yeah.
Um, I guess when you look at games which are played between the top of the table, it is more to do with um, uh, positioning on that table, because as we all know, the playoffs are such that you
Yeah.
want to finish one and two, get two chances to qualify for the finals, rather than if you finish third and fourth and you just have the one chance.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, very, very important. But as long as they make it to the playoffs, I think all those four teams will be very, very happy.
Yeah.
Um, what do we have tomorrow, Sarvesh?
Tomorrow we have number 5 against number 6. Two teams with 4 points each from 4 matches. They have lost 2 games each. So I think tomorrow one of those teams will be losing their third game, and and one of them will probably enter in top 4, and they can in fact displace Lucknow, Chennai, not Lucknow, but I think they'll probably dismiss Chennai out of top 5, top 4 if they win it. So I think Hyderabad, they are pretty close to Chennai's net run rate. So I think they have a chance to get into top 4 by winning.
Yes.
And Punjab, if they win big, they can again get into top 4. Yeah, so it's a mid-table encounter tomorrow, critical for both teams.
And they're playing in Mohali.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Punjab's new home.
Punjab's new home. Perfect. Anything else to add before we sign off for today?
I just read a news on Mayank Yadav. I think he's going to miss. I have read that he's going to miss a couple of games. So I think he'll be surely missing the two next 2 games for LSG. I read that he was taken out. He was not allowed to continue, as a precautionary measure in the last game. He was sent for MRI scans, and I think the outcome is not that great, but it's not that disappointing as well. That he's just out for 2 games, and probably you have to take such care for the express, for the Rolls Royce or Ferrari kind of bowlers. So I think, yeah, they'll manage. I think they'll manage it well without him, even without him. But I think 2 games out for the young lad. I think he needs to take care of his injuries. I think because he's going to be very critical for LSG, and who knows, maybe for India as well.
I read 2 words called workload management as far as Mayank Yadav is concerned. And it's a good sign that somebody is looking after his workload
Yeah,
and making sure they wrap him up in cotton wool, like we said yesterday, and keep him safe and sound and make sure that he's perfectly right at that when he does play, that he's fully fit, so that he can give his best
yeah,
rather than becoming a medium pacer who bowls at 130 and 35. We don't want that. We want
yeah,
to see those 155 plus deliveries from him.
yeah,
Well, that's all that we have today from match number 22. CSK picking up points. KKR tasting defeat after a bit of a while. If you like what we are doing on the Sneakometer podcast, please do follow us. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us feedback on all our social media handles on Twitter, on Instagram, and also just keep encouraging us with your comments. If there's anything that you don't like that we do, then do tell us. And if there's something that you love, let us know that as well, because your feedback is what keeps us going. This is Rahul Patel and Sarvesh signing off from the Sneakometer podcast. Until next time, we will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.